Is a home gym expensive in 2024? We're going to talk about the price and cost of a home gym, looking at kind of high-end stuff and lower-end stuff, and go over some options that might work best for you. If you haven't already, appreciate you subscribe to the channel. So in 2024, does it make sense to have a home gym? So home gyms kind of exploded when the coronavirus happened and the gym shut down, and then everybody, started buying up equipment left, right, and center. And at first, there was, not a lot of equipment around. It was difficult to get stuff. The prices weren't too crazy, but we were starting to see that steadily increase over time, what with, all of the different factors with COVID going into it. Now, when we fast forward a few years from there, there have been basically, the good news is there's a lot more competition in the space. There's a lot more companies making different equipment, and with that, it drives the price down a little bit. But for the most part, we're seeing inflated prices from where everything was back in 2020, whether that's, to do with, shipping and cost of materials and cost of manufacturing versus inflation and just general economic stuff. I think it's probably a bit of both, but I think you can build a home gym in 2024 while staying on a budget. And I think if you are going to do this in the best budget way, my biggest piece of advice would be to start out small and to do things over time. Typically, the way we say starting out with a home gym, you want to make sure you master the basics, right? You want to get a decent squat rack, you want to get a decent barbell. And the biggest cost really, depending on your style of training, I mean, if you want to just generally get in shape, you can go and say you want to keep your gym membership, and maybe you just want to have a home gym just as kind of a backup, or like if you on the weekend you don't want to drive to the gym, something like that. Probably the opposite, like if you want to just work out at home after work, which would probably make more sense. Anyways, whatever your reasons are, you can do a lot, just with basic stuff, just with like an exercise bike, just with bands. Bands are an amazing tool. This is something that I feel like is not talked about enough. You can do so much with bands, and they don't really cost anything. I mean, you get a good set of bands for, I don't know. I have these Westside ones, and it's got all the, the big ones they use for deadlifts and squats and stuff too. But you get a decent set of bands for, I don't know, 50 bucks, something like that. And you can do so much with them. You can do like lots of arm isolation stuff. You can do lighter work, lower body stuff. And there's just, stuff like that is always a good buy because there's just unlimited uses for it. And you can get so much out of it for not a lot of money. And it's very versatile. That's something we always say too, right? When we're looking at new equipment, like, is it versatile? Can you do more than one thing with it? Or are you stuck doing only one thing ever with it and it's, just dedicated for that? So things like that, an exercise bike, maybe a mat to lie down on if you don't want to, go the full out, horse stall mat and, have equipment and spots to use a barbell and stuff. You can do that fairly cheaply. Most people watching this probably aren't as interested in that as they are in like the powerlifting side or like bodybuilding style of training. So if we look at doing it from that aspect, I do think it makes the most sense to start with the basics because, I mean, where else really are you going to start, right? Now, you don't have to go all out. And the great thing about gym equipment is typically you can sell it fairly easily. There's always people looking for gym equipment on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or Kijiji or whatever. I think Facebook Marketplace is probably the biggest one now. I always say those other two because those are the ones I used to use, but it's really more, everyone uses Facebook now, I think. So people are always looking for gym equipment there because you can always get good deals, and people are always buying gym stuff and then not using it, and it collects dust for a while and then they sell it, right? So that's usually a good place to look. There are also other budget options out there, like at least to get you started. And I think some of them from Amazon are actually fine. Like you can get a $250 power rack if you're not, if you're staying well beneath what it's rated for. Like if it says it's rated for 1,000 pounds, like as long as you're squatting, or whatever you're using it for, I'm trying to think of like if you're doing block pulls or something on it, like as long as you're staying under like half of that, you're not really going to have any issues. If you're really pushing it and, this is something you're going to do for a very long time, I feel like that warrants a purchase of a really good power rack because number one, it's not crazy expensive compared to like the cheap Amazon one. You might pay 2 or 3 times the cost of that, but we're still talking under $1,000. And, for an investment of safety, like it's kind of worth it. Like the whole point of working out is to be like fit and healthy, right? So, you know, if you've got a cheap one of those, like, especially I see the people all the time, like where not to spend your money, like where to save money is not on the squat rack, it's not on the barbell, and it's not on your bench. You can get an adjustable bench, that's fine. But whatever you're benching in, like if you're benching in your power rack, then obviously that's a 2-for-1. But people buy those crappy Walmart benches where the racks are like spaced like here, and then you got to put your hands outside, and then it's like, I used to have one of those, so I know it is like when you pinch your hand on that rack setting it down because the thing is just spaced so stupidly, it's so painful and it's so annoying. It's just, you know, it's not worth, you know, not investing in something quality for something like that. That's not where you want to save your money. Where you do want to save your money are things like weight plates. Weight plates are weight plates, right? They don't need to look good. They don't need to be the best new thing. Personally, I spent a lot of money on my plates because, you know, whatever, I wanted to and I like them. But it was also impossible to find them. And people were jacking up the prices so much during COVID. I got these brand new Rogue Machine Olympic plates for less or equal cost, probably what I would have paid buying for used plates. So you can find used plates, you know, definitely do that. The thing to keep in mind with used plates is typically they're not going to be exactly what they say they are. Again, if you're not, you know, practicing competition style lifting, you're just trying to get a good workout in, it doesn't really matter. But just something to keep in mind that they might be off like up to 4 pounds for a 45-pound weight plate. For like really used stuff, like there could be a 5-pound discrepancy in there, which is quite a lot. So if that's something you care about, then, you know, there's good options for buying, you know, new-ish weight plates, but you can do it from cheaper manufacturers. Some that come to mind would be like Bells of Steel, in Canada specifically, Amstaff. Where's that other one? York. They've got like a cheap kind of, you know, residential, whatever you want to call it, line of weight plates, I think, that are fairly affordable. You can get that at the box store, whatever it's called. I forget the sports one. Plate Against Sports, does that still exist? I don't know. So things like that, you can definitely save your money on. Now, when it comes to like accessory machines and movements and exercises, I think what makes sense for a lot of people is to start off with like an accessory bar or a specialty bar. And with that, that's going to allow you to do different exercises. And the thing with, you know, specialty bars or like accessory machines is you want to be able to work the muscle without all the strain of using a barbell. That's really the main benefit, and that's probably psychologically why people like using it. So for me, for example, I've got a leg extension ham curl machine because that's something I was not able to duplicate with a barbell without stressing my hips and my back and the stuff that I'm always doing because I'm always lifting with a barbell, right? So stuff like that, it comes down to, are you going to use the home gym forever? Is it within your budget? Do you have the space for it? Blah, blah, blah. We're just talking about, you know, strictly in terms of budget here. But I think a good place to start off is with an accessory bar. So, for example, if you're doing a ton of barbell squats, and it's just, you know, you want to change it up a little bit, a good like way you can focus on, say your quads, for example, is get a safety squat bar. And you can get a decent one for $200. That's what mine was, 200 Canadian. And, you know, squat to a box. And that takes a lot of the stress off of your lower back. It's going to strengthen your upper back and put more of the weight leaning forward onto your quad muscles, which is probably what you want if you're looking for an accessory, you know, squat alternative. So you can look at things like that, like an easy bar for curls. Again, take some of the stress off the wrists. You can focus more on the arms. People want to look at dumbbells and that kind of thing. What I would do for dumbbells, because they are very handy to have, is I would get either like a set, like if we're talking purely budget, get a set from like maybe Walmart, like a 5 to 30, because those are super handy. Like I've got, you know, $2,800 dumbbells, but I don't have 5-pound dumbbells. So I still have to use plates, which is fine. It works, but it's, you know, it's not as nice as, you know, being able to warm up the shoulders, the rotator cuffs with those 5-pound weights. And you can still do, you know, you can do some curl stuff with them too, and chest flies and other things like that. Like they do have some use. And if you start small and don't fully invest in something, you can build on it over time, or you can say, hey, is this something I'm actually really going to be using? Or, you know, am I better off, you know, instead of getting dumbbells, maybe I'll get a tricep, bicep curling machine, because that's all I really want the dumbbells for, is to do arms, and the 30-pound limit kind of limits me there. And for, you know, $100 more, I can get this standalone machine, that does exactly what I'm looking for. So play around with it a bit, start slow, focus on the basics, and you absolutely can build a home gym for cheap in 2024. If you're gonna do it the way I did, where you just go crazy and buy everything at once, it's gonna cost a lot of money because everything costs more now and we make less. And Canada kind of sucks economically right now, but that's a whole nother story for another day. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We'll catch you next one, guys. Check it out back there.